The show.
It's a somber tone.
Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody. Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
How are you all feeling? We are coming to you live from Duck World, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we are.
We
Duck
are.
World.
We are coming at you hot. Hey, it's November. Happy November, everybody. Apparently, November equals Christmas, which is news
Yes.
to me.
Time for Christmas music.
Look, it's time. It's time. I don't know
You
what
have
to
to
tell
be
you.
honest,
the
I'm gonna-
Mariah Carey.
I will fight both of you because there's a holiday that we're forgetting, and it's very
No.
important that we
First
celebrate.
of all, that holiday is
No.
only a week long, and
It's not even a week.
it's not even a week.
Y'all understand Christmas is a day, right? Like it's like a day and a half.
No,
the
Christmas is more of a
season.
vibe, and thank you. It's a season.
All right. I'll be the odd man out, and I know when I'm outnumbered. So, gentlemen, we have a.
He gave up fairly quickly.
I did. I rolled right over. I'm like, I'm not gonna fight this. Gentlemen, we have a head scratcher today, and we probably are going to
Okay.
come to this podcast with more questions and answers. But let's make sure we get everybody properly introduced. I'm going to kick it on over to Marcus J. Destin. Marcus, how you feeling?
I'm pissed.
Okay,
I'm
right, that's-
I'm pissed.
that's
I'm
natural.
pissed because I was having a good day till I had to finish this damn movie. This is where I
Yeah,
am now.
that
So I'm
sounds right.
pissed. But other than that, I'm pretty swell.
Awesome. And I want to make sure that everybody who's listening understands that our man Marcus did his best Mace Windu impression for his
yeah.
Halloween costume. And gentlemen
yeah.
and ladies,
I tried
it
my
was
best.
legit.
I tried.
How
my
did people
best.
how did that go for you? Did people like get it right away?
So, you know what I realized is there's an undercover nerddom that exists because
Ooh,
there
yeah.
are people who know Jedis, right, and they know
Right,
Star
okay.
Wars, but then there are people who know the specifics into purple lightsaber Mace Windu.
Got it.
Ken.
Okay.
So it's kind of like
Ken.
there was some who would walk by like, "Oh, you are a priest, right?" And I'd be like, "No, bitch, I'm a Jedi." But then
Kind of.
Seen this?
other people will walk by and be like, "Star Wars." I'm like, "Yes." And then there's the few that were like, "Mace Windu, nice."
Okay. All right.
So, there you go. So
Well,
it was a pretty good night.
Well, shout out to you for rocking your
Yeah.
best Mace Windu.
Oh, I
And
had to.
you did it too. Like you had the robes and everything.
got effort.
I put very little effort in. I just put on a
Oh, no.
Thor helmet that is made for a child and a Thor hammer, and I clipped it to my belt, and I was like, "Hey, y'all figure this out." So
And
Marcus
you know
went
what?
the extra mile here.
What-
And I didn't even dress up. So
Here's
Well,
the thing. I feel like we are all very well associated with the Jedis we pick. I'd be interested to see
True.
where Doug would go. And who he would pick specifically. Because
Yeah, that's
Brian's
true.
is perfect. He is definitely a Luke Skywalker through and
It
through.
really is.
Through and through. And I feel like I'm for the most part, I'm a Mace Windu.
I would agree.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
than the blackness, but like just overall attitude. If I
Oh,
was a
he-
Jedi, I would definitely
True.
have a Mace Windu attitude.
Yeah, I don't know where I would necessarily fall with this because there's a part of me that's like, I feel like I would switch back and forth a lot. Like there
Between
are
who,
times
like,
where
like,
the-
like, let's discuss this right.
the-
We know
there's
who
a
we
there's
are.
a there's
That's
a
Brian
time
down there. That's Doug up top. Okay,
There's-
like let's talk
there's-
about this.
there's a dark
Brian,
there's a
who do
time.
you think Doug would be? Let's wait. I want to hear.
Yeah.
Let me hear Brian. Brian, who do you think Doug would be?
Give it to me, Brian.
I don't know. I don't know. I really we're talking about the duality here, and I don't want to like throw anything out there.
That's right. Let's get into that
or
bitch.
cut down any
Bri-
children. But
Brian's like, I don't want
know.
to hurt Doug's feelings.
I was
but
gonna say something too, Brian. After you get done, I'm gonna say what I'm thinking.
Okay.
and then you go ahead.
I'm
It,
very
like,
curious
flips,
about.
it. Like flips between like Obi-Wan,
Mm.
and then on the other side is like Anakin, but it's not like 100.
Okay,
Like,
that's
like,
fair.
but
That's
like
fair.
That's
how
what I was gonna
Doug-
say. To be
How
honest,
Doug is always just so like over a particular thing. That is such an Obi-Wan thing.
That's
It is
true.
such an be like, ugh, how uncivilized. Like I feel like Doug just walks through life saying that, just like looking at stuff like, ugh. That's
Honestly,
terrible.
I've
That
never
is-
heard a
that's
better
accurate.
description. I've never heard a better description.
Doug is very much so episode 2 Obi-Wan, where he's just kind of like, he would just kind of feel like fuck, there goes Anakin again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, god damn
There
it.
he
Like,
goes again.
stop doing that. Like, why are you doing that? There's better ways
That's
to do
fair.
this. I don't like this.
Hey,
So-
stop him. We'll take him together. Oh, you got
Yeah.
sliced up.
Well,
Well,
look at you.
yeah.
Look at what happened. Shouldn't
Look
have done
what you-
that.
look what you doing now? My thing was, I would say Obi-Wan for sure, and I'm
Okay.
glad that you specifically listed those attributes to Obi-Wan. A part of me also feels like you would also be somewhere on the dark side.
Yeah, just a smidge.
There's something
like a
there
touch.
where I don't know a good character that has the battle between, you know,
I mean-
he's not really dark, but he's definitely, as a Jedi, he's on the darker side of things.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be.
I was gonna
like,
go more the impulsiveness. I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Doug, like
Yeah.
at least in the context of this podcast, is like, hey, I got an idea. Let's do
Mm-hmm.
this, and like it's all like, oh, all right, here we go. Like,
Yeah.
Okay,
here we go.
that's what we're
So it's
doing.
like the impulsiveness of
True.
Anakin, but like the sardonic over it hipsterness of Obi-Wan. I'm just like, "Ugh, that is just.
Yeah.
You know what? If you like this movie so much, have your day with it. I
Yes,
hate
yeah,
it.
that's
fine.
good.
If you,
Yeah,
if
Brian.
you love it so much.
Yeah, Brian.
Like-
Now, Doug, what do you think?
To be honest, I was gonna say there's gotta, if there were a character that were somewhere, like depending on the way he woke up that morning, dictated which side of the force he was on, I
Well,
would say that's more than likely where I would fit the most. Because there are times where super about the rules, they matter. Why else do we have them? And then there are other moments where I'm like, fuck this and fuck you. I don't want to do it anymore. Like,
Anakin. Oh yeah, you're
like,
Anakin.
that's
just-
some premium Anakin energy.
That's
right
premium
there.
Yeah,
Anakin
yeah,
energy right there.
I'm over these bullshit rules and standards. Throw them out. Like
I
don't
am
wanna
the
do this
Republic.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah,
am the
yeah.
basically.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I
So
like
there's
it.
somewhere in the middle.
Now,
I'm
mind
sure.
you, I'm not saying Darth Vader. Like,
No,
I'm not saying
no,
Darth
I mean-
Vader. I'm saying the light side Anakin. I'm not
Remem-
saying your dark
remember,
side.
Remember, I'm not gonna murder any children. Okay, like that's not what we're getting at here.
I'm pretty sure Anakin said that same thing to himself. And then we all know how that story went on.
I would
That's
love-
fine.
I would love a series of like lunchroom Padawan talks where the older
Oh.
Padawans get around and just talk about stories their masters have to go on.
Mm.
And like, and there's this one conversation between Anakin and another one that's coming up, and they're like, yeah, we had to go to this planet and stop this guy from killing kids. I mean, I couldn't imagine ever doing that. And Anakin's like, me neither, man. Could never do it.
I would
It's
never,
like
never in my life. That's
that
wild.
that would play out very funny for me. Brian,
That's definitely dark
thank
side
you.
Anakin coming out of him right
It
there.
is.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say.
for sure.
Absolutely
For
is.
sure.
Brian, how are you feeling, sir?
You know what? I'm great. I took a half day, so I've
Oh,
got a
shit.
little bit more
Fuck
energy
yeah.
in the tank to just slice and dice this
Nice.
movie, if we can even call it a movie. We're going to talk
That's
about.
True. That's true. Well, it is a love
So I'm
story.
feeling good. I got some energy. Like I also have a ton of Halloween candy,
No.
so
Oh, yeah.
I'm sugared up. So yeah, I'm just feeling great. Doug, what about you?
I'm doing great. I also have an excess of Halloween candy. And it was a good Halloween. Brittany had a good
All right.
birthday. And
birthday.
Oh,
Brittany.
good. Well, we're happy
My,
she was born.
my children were very interesting. So for all of you
Oh.
listening, it was like 48 degrees in Vermilion and windy on
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah.
It was not warm. And
Yeah.
so my son being me,
Mm,
he
mm.
about I don't know 45 minutes he goes, I'm good sitting in the car, like I'm all right, like I got the candy I wanted, I am all set, seriously. Like
Wait,
about
are
an
you
hour
driving
into it.
around in a car?
Well, because our neighborhood doesn't get not a lot of people participate in trick-or-treating, like we go
Oh,
somewhere
got it.
else so
Got
that way
it.
they can do other, because if we
Got
went
it.
house to house in our neighborhood, we'd be done in like 10 minutes.
Okay,
Um,
I wasn't sure if you were like driving him to each house, and I was like, "Wow,
Oh
you're a good
Lord,
dad."
no! Like we basically
Okay.
would like drive to a different neighborhood, post up, and then walk around. However, there are children in this town that were doing that. Like their parents were like,
I can
"Okay,
see
hop
that.
out, hop in." Yeah.
Well,
And
okay.
Harper, she started trick or treating.
My best friend, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah, your new best friend.
My new best
Harper
friend.
at about 5:45. She said, she like kicked it into another gear and went for another hour. she would get done
Did she
walking away
really?
from a house, and she'd be like, "We go get more candy." I'm like, "If you want to go, like, that's
Yup.
fine. We
Yup.
could go."
Yup.
Yep. So that's just who my children were. So,
Yeah.
Put it
My
in the
youngest
bag.
Parker, my youngest Parker did that. He was getting tired and he was like, "Dad, bucket," which had all of his candy in it. And I was like, "If I take your bucket, you are done trick or treating." And he looks at me with these eyes like, "No candy?" And I was like, "Yeah, you'd get no more candy." And he's like, "Bucket, please." And then he just took off to the next
There you
door.
go.
Like,
There you
all
go.
right, getting
You
after
know,
it.
I get it. Him and
intelligent
Harper,
children.
you know, they could
Absolutely.
get it.
Absolutely.
You know, my kids the other day, they
it's true.
yeah.
I want your disposable income, Marcus. That sounds wonderful.
Gentlemen, we have it is
That's so funny.
oh man. Gentlemen, we have it is continues to be Black History Year this week here on Films
Yeah.
in Black and White.
Yeah.
And Marcus sits atop the leaderboard with 12 now. And Brian and I, Chris, my kid complained about being cold until the first candy hit the bag that he was all in. That is, Chris, that is
Kids-
amazing.
Once that hits the bottom of the bucket,
Like-
you say, "Damn, okay,
All right, we got
you
this."
Better reevaluate a little bit."
I mean, yeah, to Chris's point here, who chimed in because he is a Patreon subscriber, by the way, so you can watch these,
What up,
listen to these
Chris?
live if you sign up for our Patreon. Also, you can pay us to like do the movie you want. Like we will
Jesus.
do whatever movie you want here. That's how we got into a Howard the Duck situation.
Man,
It's true.
our
But in any
Patreon
case,
hates us.
I agree. As soon as the child like understands like go to
The
door,
concept, yeah, the
knock,
exchange,
get
yeah.
candy. That's all I have to do, and
Mhm.
then like you're
That
out
was
there
it.
for 2 hours, and you're
Mhm.
like, why
That
are
was
my
it.
fingers cold?
I always wondered how that concept works outside of Halloween. Like, how do you explain that to children? Like, okay, you can't just knock on this person's door on a
Oh my
regular
gosh.
Wednesday to then get candy.
Yeah. Well, I think the costume helps. Like he
Okay.
doesn't go outside as a gecko normally, so I
Yeah.
feel like that helps.
Okay.
Parker also like he needed a little bit of instruction because that kid just like someone would hold out. This is the last story, I promise. They would hold out the bucket, and my 2-year-old is just like cool and just took a handful, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, and like I'm
Yeah.
trying to be like the dad, like I'm so sorry, he's
Mhm.
2, but like
Mhm.
most
Meanwhile,
people-
those
They're
families
just
are like,
please take
no,
it.
take it. We
Yeah,
don't want anything.
pretty
left."
much.
Yeah.
Well, also not everybody did Halloween, so it really felt like this year everyone was just like, take what you want. It's been rough. Just you want these, take them. I don't care. You want Valentine's Day candy, we got it. You want Christmas, why not? And we have Christmas and Valentine's Day candy. So
That's
They were deep.
incredible.
Good lord.
But Marcus, you sit atop the leaderboard for Catch That Quotable.
Yeah.
And sir, you get to decide what happens, who goes first. You are in charge here today. So how would you like this to proceed this week, sir?
I would like Anakin to go first.
Okay, that would be me. That is fine. I can do that. We'll see if I can carry my luck into this week. Gentlemen, are you
Alright,
ready?
Hater. Yes.
Friends, there comes a time in every man's life when he has to look the potato of injustice right in the eye. There's a powerful evil force in the universe that lives at Channel 8, and I've seen it, and I don't want it to go pop its ugly, greasy head around here. Do you?
What in the fuck?
What is this movie?
I'm so excited. Okay, I'm going to read it again. Friends, there comes a time in every man's life when he has to look the potato of injustice right in the eye. There's a powerful evil force in the universe that lives in Channel 8, and I've seen it. And I don't want to go pop it, and I don't want it to go pop its ugly, greasy head around here. Do you?
Look its ugly potato in
okay.
the eye.
Yeah.
So for the SAT, I had to do inference stuff, Marcus.
Okay.
So
Okay, talk to
I'm
me.
just gonna go dive into that. It's a news
Yeah.
station. I'm just gonna go for it. It's a news station movie.
Yes.
It feels like a reporter is irate and angry at something. I have no clue what the potato stuff is about.
See, I was thinking Toy Story because he said potato, and I was like, maybe this is like one of those weird adult
man.
monologues in a children's movie.
Nah, man. I don't
It
think
is
it's
a
Toy
movie
Story.
station, though. You're right, though. Channel 8 News.
I only know about Anchorman and
That's
Anchorman
true.
2.
Okay.
But none of that sounds like a Will Ferrell or Paul Rudd line.
No.
Even Steve Carell. Doug, I am begging for a hint.
Your hint is Weird Al.
Okay. What movie was Weird Al in?
The way he does his hints, though, he's like, "Well, I was thinking about Weird Al the other day, and then I
Right,
thought of
that's
this
true.
movie."
Then he tries to connect the dots back to it.
Oh, this
what
one-
you don't know is Weird
thi-
Al was a producer in this.
I will.
Like,
Here's my second hint. This one tells you a little bit about me.
Okay.
oh, fuck. Okay. Weird Al Yankovic.
That's right. The man, the myth, the
I
legend.
don't think he's. I don't think it's an earnest joint. Let's just rule that out.
Fair.
I don't think I've seen many movies with Weird Al in it. So that's what's throwing me off.
All right. I don't feel like many movies just put Weird Al in, so it has to be like parody or self-referential. I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sometimes you have to look your potato in the eye.
The potato of injustice.
Of
Right in
injustice.
the eye.
Sorry.
It's so
The potato of
specific, yet I'm
injustice.
so lost.
Channel 8 News. Okay, I'm just gonna. I don't know. I'm gonna say Toy Story
That-
because I can't think of anything else.
That's fair. This is not Toy Story. I appreciate the
I
logic,
figured.
though.
Yeah, I
I
figured.
don't know. Is this Anchorman 2?
Brian, this is not Anchorman 2. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Weird Al movie.
Oh my gosh.
UHF.
I've
This is
never
a
heard of
movie.
this.
This is a
never
movie
heard of this.
starring, and I'm going to give you this cast because it is absolutely incredible. So this stars, like I said, it stars Weird Al. It stars Michael Richards. It stars Victoria Jackson. It stars Fran Drescher. And
What?
yes. Okay, so those are the big ones. So this movie is basically Weird Al gets into he somehow manages a UHF station, and Michael Richards plays the janitor and starts making them a ton of money. And I loved this movie as a kid.
Wow.
It is
Okay.
very much my sense of humor. It's absurdist, it's weird, and I love it.
I've seen, I just looked it up on IMDb and I see the poster, and I've seen some of these pictures out of context, and I just
Oh,
thought
yeah.
they were Weird Al music videos. No, this
No.
is a full-fledged
The full-fledged
movie.
Yeah. And I strongly encourage you watch it because it is amazing.
That is incredible.
Wow,
I've
that's a
never
deep
seen
cut
that
that I would have
before.
never got.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
have
I
never
didn't
guessed
think
that.
you would, but I just loved it so much today, and I just loved it so much, and I wanted to bring it up.
Wow.
Well, I'm happy.
1989. Nope.
1989. There you go.
They were doing some wild
Um,
stuff in the 80s.
Yeah, they were.
They did. Marcus, who would you like to go next?
I'm actually gonna go next.
Do
Okay.
it.
All right,
right.
here we go. Sorry, gotta pull this up.
How dare you?
He's
He's got the phone, folks. He's got it. Don't
How
worry.
dare you?
All right. There are only a select few things in mine that are absolutely off limits. All right. My toothbrush, my toothpaste, my shaving cream, and my condoms. Magnum, of course. You know about the gold packs. Other than that, Playboy, anything else of mine, you're welcome to. I'm gonna read it one more time because I started it there. All right. There are only a select few of things of mine that are absolutely off limits. All right. My toothbrush, my toothpaste, my shaving cream, and my condoms. Magnums, of course. You know about the gold packs. Other than that, Playboy, anything else of mine, you're welcome to.
Oh man. This feels like two college people sharing an apartment together, or two people coming together that are maybe an unlikely come together. It's definitely a comedy though. There's no way you would bring up magnet condoms in anything but a comedy.
This,
Brian's deep breaths are incredible.
it, difficult because I feel like this is a buddy.
Mhm. Yes.
It's a buddy film. I can't tell you though the context of it. It also feels like a little bit of coming of age movie.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm
ready?
gonna slap that hint button. Marcus, what's the
Yeah.
hint for this?
We're gonna say The Yard.
The Yard.
Yeah, The Yard.
Marcus, is this
It's
the
a-
longest yard?
Tis not the longest yard, but I appreciate the connecting of the dots, Douglas.
I see what you did.
Uh,
You had me.
I'm just gonna go for it. I can't believe I'm gonna guess this. Is this Stomp the Yard?
Oh fuck, you got it.
No way!
I did not think anybody was gonna get that shit. This is Stomp the Yard. This is
God damn it.
Yes.
Oh shit! I was not expecting anybody to get this.
Okay, this is the last thing. Everybody, you're watching. Say
Oh,
goodbye to
shit.
Marcus.
Oh fuck! I was like, you know what I said when I picked this movie? I was like, this movie's way too black. I don't think that either of them have seen Stomp the Yard. I've
What
seen
does
Stomp the
that
Yard
say about me?
1,000 times, and I was just like, okay, nobody's gonna get this. Brian's like, is this Stomp the Yard? I'm like, God damn, Brian.
All right, Brian.
Oh, shit, you hit that motherfucker on the because I feel like if you've seen Stomp the Yard, you've either seen it by accident or you've seen it. Chris Schultz. He is on fire.
It really is. It really
it's
is.
weird I don't know how people see like on BT back. You know they don't really have BT up here in South Dakota.
Oh my
But,
gosh.
On BT, at least I don't have cable and I don't ever really see it on. But they
Well,
show Stomp the Yard all the time.
Oh, sure. I feel
mean,
like it was one of those that made the rounds on like FX and there for
It
a
did.
while.
No, that movie was extremely popular, and I think it did really, really well.
Yeah.
The first one. Don't even look at the second one. But that was like a big cultural point in my growing up was watching
Okay.
Stomp the Yard.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
huge because then we heard Chris Brown's in Stomp the Yard, and Chris
Yup.
Brown was like the greatest dancer, like growing up, like
Mhm.
next to
He
Michael Jackson,
was.
like for this generation. And we seen it, and this motherfucker died in the first 10 minutes of the
Yeah.
movie. Like, I was like, yo,
Yeah.
what the fuck? How you gonna have a dancing movie without him?
That's true.
So yeah.
You know, and because there's also Drumline.
Yeah,
Drumline.
Drumline.
Yeah, Drumline is
Same.
it's the same thing.
Like same vein, I want to say. I
Mhm.
do feel like they're different, but like it was like I got into it because I was like, oh, it's not like it's a musical dance
Yeah.
film. Like I love musical and dance films. I did not understand it was totally focused on the Black experience, which was totally cool with me.
Mhm.
But advertising, like the
Mm.
advertising of
Did
it,
not
it
do
was
that.
advertised not in that way. Which is disappointing because I was like, that wouldn't have changed my mind. I did not. And Drumline did the same thing
Mhm.
with how they advertised it
Mhm.
too.
Like it
There
was super fun, and it's like it's back to that conversation we've had before. Depending on where you catch the commercial, it'll
That's
definitely
true.
great
it'll
point.
look different. So on BT,
Great
it was like
point.
this is about this, it's about you. While the other one is like, oh no. So like when Doug said this is clearly or who said it? I think
I
this
said
is
it was.
clearly a
I said it
comedy,
was a
right?
comedy.
He said it was a comedy. I was like, oh Doug, this is it's kind of far from a comedy. Actually, it's like it's kind of sad.
Yeah,
It is a little. Now that you bring it up,
has
yeah.
sad moments, but it is like overall inspirational. So I don't know.
No, it absolutely. Well, and
Oh, okay.
I loved, man. I love
Okay.
this. I here I am talking about Stomp the Yard.
Yeah, look at Brian.
Bring it, Brian.
This I don't know because when did this come out? This was late 2000s.
2007.
2007.
I just looked it up.
For me, just white college age
Me.
Brian, like not fully understanding all of his privilege and like super centrist, like I was like, I've never seen anything like this. This is really good. Why don't we make more movies like this? Now here I am, like 15 years later on a podcast, being like, this is upsetting. We need more of this. In any case, I really enjoyed it. Like now, I really want to go back and watch this.
I would recommend
Drumline.
it. I would
Oh my
recommend
gosh.
it. It
This
talks
was
about the
this
black
was-
fraternity sorority
Yeah.
life, and it's like it talks
And-
about all of that.
I learned so much.
Yeah.
That's where I learned about
Yeah.
like that's where I learned about stepping.
Yeah,
Like
because me and my
yeah.
granddad, it was so close to me because I always talk about how me and my granddad used to go to a lot of college games at HBCU, so Norfolk State University,
Right on.
Hampton University,
Yeah.
and so this was supposed to be a historically black college,
Yep.
and that's what it reflected, and that's what it looked like. So for me, it was a familiar thing to watch. And then
Sure.
you're
Yeah.
seeing all this stuff. I know about the Divine Nine. I knew about it. I'm familiar with all of that and stepping and all
Yeah.
of that. And it was just, to me, that's familiar. So I just think that I really literally said it was like, man, they'll never get this one. I'm just going to do this quote right here. And
Well, it
that
was right
it.
around the same time that like I
Yeah.
remember not this one, but I remember You Got Served
Oh,
being
okay. Yeah.
popular right before this.
Yeah.
And this was a
Right.
string of
Mhm.
like dancing sort of dancing movies. Like
Mhm.
Honey was in 2003
Honey.
and then it was like You Got Served, and then it was Stomp the Yard, and
That
then it
theme-
was
That genre
Bring
had a
It
chokehold
Right.
on the black community for a long time.
It really did. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
it
absolutely
did.
right.
It
So
did. It did.
well, good throwback, Marcus.
Good
Good
job.
work.
No, yeah, great job, everybody.
Oh
All
my
right,
gosh.
Brian, bring us home.
All right. Apparently we all brought like expert mode quotes tonight.
Yes, we did.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Mess with the best, die like the rest.
Oh shit.
That's it. That's the quote. One more time. Mess with the best, die like the rest.
Mess with the best. Okay. Mess with the best, die like the rest. It could be a fighting movie.
It
I-
could
I-
be. I
Could
think
be
it's
an
I think
assassin
it's an
movie.
action team up movie.
That's what I think. It's somebody who's cocky about it. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
Wolverine, I'm the best at what I do.
I think I might know what this is, but I'm not
No
sure.
way.
I want the
definitely
quote.
need to hear the hill. I need the
I
hint.
want the quote. I want the hint.
I need the hint. I'm foregoing the music. Can I smack
All
the
right.
hint button?
Oh, yeah.
I
I'm
would
not
like
going
to
to give
do
y'all
that.
music.
Oh,
Nah,
okay.
you know me.
All right.
Uh,
Yeah, fuck that music.
you don't want to hear me sing. You
Who's
don't want that. I
Anakin
don't
now?
want that. Unless it's living on a prayer, and I've had like 5 adult beverages. The hint is computers.
Computers.
Yep.
Ugh.
Is this what you thought it was, Doug? Because it's not what I thought it was.
It is not what I thought it
It's
was.
not what I thought it was at all.
Like really lean into those computers. folks.
Computers.
The computers.
Mess with the best. And like the rest. I don't know.
Brian,
Hello.
I'm gonna go with my first quote.
What's that?
I'm gonna go with my third. No, hold on,
Okay.
Marcus, you go because I just got a second. I got
What
an
the fuck?
inspiration.
Can
I
you
got an
wait,
inspiration.
Wait a minute. You
I
can't
got an
make him go.
inspiration.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah.
Is Black
Make
History
it
Year
go.
still?
I'm backing out of my guess. I got an
Okay.
inspiration.
I don't know what this is. The first thing that came to mind when you said computers was the Facebook story.
Okay. That's fair.
that was the first thing that came to mind.
Okay.
The social network is really the name of that thing, or metaverse if you're feeling nasty. I don't know about this computer. The only other movie that's coming to mind right now, I hate when I get stuck and I
Okay.
can only think of the same 2 movies. It's the Scooby-Doo Into the Cyberverse movie.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that your guess?
Yes, I'll just say yes.
It
'cause I
is
know it's
not
wrong.
Scooby-Doo into the verse.
There's the verse. Okay. Into the
Brian,
Yeah.
is this the movie Gamer?
It is not the movie Gamer with Gerard
Oh.
Butler.
I
I
Sure.
appreciate that deep
I never
cut. The
did finish that
movie
movie.
is
It's okay.
Hackers, starring
Ah.
Johnny Lee Miller as Dade, who says this line, and Angelina Jolie in honor of the Eternals releasing
All
this
right.
week.
Well done, Brian. Well
Okay.
done.
All right,
And yeah,
Brian.
like literally, it's a weird movie. Like it's weird. It's like,
have
what
not
if
seen
Tron
it.
was like a little bit more dumb? And here you go.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
All right.
I don't think I've
Well-
ever seen this one.
Well, the song remains the same on this week's episode of Films in Black and White, and Black History Year continues. So we'll come back next week.
I get a point.
He does get a
Oh,
point.
that's right. You do get a point. I'm so
Yeah, he
sorry.
does
So the
get a
two
point.
of you, so
That's
the
fine.
two of you are now tied again.
Oh
So-
man,
So
here
so
we
Oreo
are.
do
History
that.
Year.
So it's a yeah. You
Oreo.
guys get to share that
It's a swirl. Swirl History Year.
swirl history year.
Yeah.
So gentlemen, you, the 3 of us, were treated by our lovely
Were
Patreon
we though?
subscribers
Were we
to
though?
Which would
the
have been
movie
merged? This or Mario?
Howard the Duck.
Ugh.
And this was a lot. And so before we really get into this, I need to disclose that this is one of Brittany Wagner's favorite movies. Not her favorite, not of like
Brittany.
all time, but one of her favorites. And I
Brittany.
have video evidence, and I sent it to Brian because
Yes.
Brian was like, I was talking to Brittany about it, and Brian and I were texting, and he goes, I don't believe that she likes this.
I did
I
not. Brittany, if you're listening, I'm sorry. This was just too outlandish to be true, but I was wrong.
To know Brittany and then
Yes.
to watch this movie, I feel like I'm missing something.
My wife won't watch Star Wars because it's not believable.
Look at Brian.
I'm sorry.
but
Excuse me?
this movie
Yeah,
totally fine.
this makes sense. Yeah, this makes sense.
And I will say it's not just Star Wars, it's anything like that is supernatural or sci-fi. It just doesn't jive with her. So it's everybody has their
I
thing.
have so
Brian
many
might
questions.
quit.
I'm not.
Brian might
I'm
quit.
not mad. I just don't
Just
understand.
disappointed.
And I don't need to.
Disappointed.
I didn't say I was disappointed. I just have so
Oh,
many
man.
questions.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we should. We'll stay focused here. We'll get
We'll
back
stay
to George
focused.
Lucas. Don't worry.
Yes, we will. So, Marcus, knowing that and going into this, please, sir, relegate us with your
haven't even thought about
barbershop
this.
summary of this movie.
Jesus Christ.
Godspeed to you, sir.
What had happened was duck titties.
I mean, basically.
Is that the
Um,
summary?
I mean, it could be because just as random as that was, is as random as this movie
My
is,
gosh.
right? So basically, what happens is you have Howard the Duck, and apparently, I don't know if Howard likes his life or not. I can't really tell. But while he's sitting in the seat in his house, and they're giving this whole introduction as to what Duck World is through hints and stuff like movie posters and everything that we know on our world is in the form of a duck. Okay, so as he's sitting there about to read his Playboy, I thought the duck started masturbating, but instead he gets pulled through space, and somehow the multiverse is explained through the form of a duck.
The first appearance of the multiverse, everybody.
First appearance of
that's
Marvel
true.
multiverse is
Yeah.
through Howard the Duck. And so while he's doing this, you see where I thought the world was starting off with he was the only duck and he already was on the human world. He's on a place called Duck World, where everybody looks like him, humanoid ducks. And, he smokes cigars, drinks beers, all that good stuff, has sexual relations with other ducks. And that is very hinted at in this movie.
Yep.
And so he gets pulled into space. And as he gets pulled into space, we go fly down this hallway. And there's a woman who's a duck and naked, taking a bath, singing. And you see her breast as ducks. So do with that information what you will. Anyway,
Yes.
So they keep going. They pull this whatever beam pulled him to our world, to where he's to Cleveland. There's a lot of punches and stabs at Cleveland. Cleveland gets a lot of low blow shots here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was very random, but I get that was a joke back then. Anyway, so Howard the Duck lands, and the whole beginning montage is him being welcomed to this new world in various ways, motorcycle gangs, getting beat up, getting jumped. There's a whole lot of shit going on here for a duck. And so you never thought people would be so mean to a goddamn walking, talking duck. I don't know how that works, but whatever. So basically Howard's got to figure shit out. He runs into I don't know if they were lovers or not, or just friends. I have no idea. Everything was just weirdly hinted at. But anyway, he runs into, what is her name again?
Leah Thompson's character?
Leah Thompson's character, who is a rock star.
That was cool.
Is it Beth? Is it Beck? It's something with a B.
It is Beverly.
Beverly. Thank you. So he runs into Beverly. Beverly randomly takes Howard in, so she can brings him to the house, sleep. He's trying to figure all this stuff out in a weird way. He then is forced to have to get a job and find out how things work, and nobody finds it weird that he's a fucking duck as he's filling out stuff. And so he does stuff at the sex place, whatever that is,
bathhouse.
At this bathhouse, and then has this weird,
AKA
stereotypical
for everything. Like
that's exactly what it is. People walking around having sex. There was a stereotypical black woman at the office to get him a job and shit like that. They're trying to figure out how to send him back. They figure out how to send him back, take him to a scientist. The scientist is kooky as hell. So then they figure out, oh, you were transported here through a telescope or beam that we were using. We don't really know how you got here, but now you're here. But we're gonna shoot it again. So then they shot it again and pulled a demon out of nowhere. So they pulled a demon back instead of this. And then there's this whole thing where the guy transformed into a demon and he's eating up all this energy. And there's this lady, Bev is with him, and Howard's trying to get it back with the weird freaky scientist. And as crazy as it sounds, this is how the movie went. And so then they use it to being, he's trying to I'm trying to go back home, but there's more. The demon called more demons to come back down. Howard had to destroy it, ended up staying there, and then becoming the manager of a band.
You know what? You got it. That's basically it. You got it. Yeah, I
hate that.
That was pretty. I
hate myself for doing that.
That's pretty much it. I mean, you definitely got it. That's pretty much the gist of this particular movie. I do want to share with you all some box office numbers. Now, this movie is renowned as something terrible. But it cost about $30 million to make, plus or minus, in 1986 dollars. $30 million to make, and
That's
it made between like worldwide and here in the United States, it made $37,962,000. So it made $38 million. So it made its money back. Now that doesn't necessarily make it a hit or not, but it definitely made its money back. So take that.
Imagine getting an $8 million profit.
Oh yeah, exactly. So let's run down. I mean, really, to be honest with you, your top 3 cast for this particular movie is Leah Thompson of Back to the Future fame,
MVP
and the
movie.
MVP of this movie, plays Beverly Switzler. And Jeffrey Jones, who plays Dr. Walter Jennings, also gets like an MVP nod because he was committed to this movie.
I don't even know, man.
Yeah. So Jeffrey Jones is in it as Dr. Walter Jennings, and son of a bitch, Tim Robbins is in this as well as Phil. So, gentlemen, that is sort of your cast.
Why'd you call him a son of a bitch?
Because it's just, it feels very random, especially for this movie. Like it feels very random to be like, we got Leah Thompson and Jeffrey Jones. Okay, cool. Surprised Tim Robbins is in this. And you're like, really? Tim Robbins?
No surprises there because his character was annoying as hell.
Oh my gosh.
Shawshank Redemption, Tim Robbins? Yep, same dude. And Howard the Duck. So, gentlemen, I mean, let's just keep this as, I mean, this is bad. Like this, I mean, I don't like to start off on a negative foot. Usually I'm a positive Pete when it comes to what did you like, but this is bad. But is there anything redeeming about this particular movie?
The effects were good. I mean, to have a walking duck walk around and it's not CGI, I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
And I think it says a lot to it being in, because the rest of the graphics were very Ghostbustery.
Yes.
To an extent. And so it's like, this was not as bad to have your main character be a duck. And they were committed to every character that looked like a duck was like realistic too.
That's
like,
true.
To an extent.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's true. And believe it or not, this is what's terrifying about this is that so behind the scenes of this, that was a little person, and it was also a child.
I could see that in some places.
So a child was playing the duck. So that moment, that will they, won't they, in Leah Thompson's bedroom, straight could have been a child in there. I think it was a little person at that moment. But a lot of this is like him being thrown in a trash can. Could have been a child. We don't really know. It doesn't really say when. The only details that I have, and I got this all from the Wikipedia because I went down a rabbit hole with this. The Wikipedia says basically the kid would work during the day and then the little person would take over at night because the kid had to go home. Like, so there were moments where this was a child inside that duck suit. Well, which is insane, but you're right.
There are 7 credits for
Howard the Duck.
Duck on IMDb. So like, what? And I have so many questions of just like, are you just cycling people through this costume?
Next,
like, just they're gonna pass out due to exhaustion. All right, get in the suit. Get in the Howard suit.
And Wikipedia also talks a lot about like how several puppeteers were used, like some of those like that were used back on Star Wars. And I think, Marcus, to your point, like the graphics, Industrial Light and Magic did this because it was a George Lucas produced thing. Because he was like, well, because when they were originally wanting to build this movie out, they originally wanted it to be animated. But George Lucas was like, I could have Industrial Light and Magic do this and we could make it live action. Well, and Universal was like, sure.
He was also under contract with them to produce a live action film. So he was like, this is it. This is the one.
They probably just wanted to waste this shit away and was like, hey, can y'all do this? And they're like, you sure you want to do this?
I mean, the other thing too that I didn't know about is that this was the year that George Lucas had just built Skywalker Ranch, which was the studio for Industrial Light and Magic. And he was in the studio. His studio was in quite a bit of debt because the studio that they built for ILM was $50 million. So he thought this movie would like pay off the studio, but it bombed so bad that he started to sell, like he had to start selling off assets to stay afloat. And so the story goes that Steve Jobs offered to help buy some of like the newly launched CGI animation stuff at Lucasfilm, which would eventually become Pixar Animation Studios.
That's
so
crazy.
Oh,
All
well, thank
right.
God Howard the
There's-
Duck failed.
That's
Howard
right.
the
Paved the
Duck
way.
failed for Toy Story to be successful.
It's
Amen.
we got Howard the Duck so that one day we could watch Toy Story.
Because if we're doing 6 degrees of separation, if Howard
Right.
the Duck never fails, we never get Toy Story, and we never
true.
get Toy Story 2 or 3, then you never get Lightyear.
It's
This
true.
new
It's
animated
true.
movie.
I mean, getting us to today, you're absolutely right.
Howard the Duck, Decade's hero.
I'm sorry, Doug. We're trying to talk about
Try.
Leah
Do the best
Thompson.
you can.
Leah
Yes.
Thompson.
Yeah.
How I would, man, if there's something I wish we could do with this, like I wish we could get her on the podcast. And one, I would be like, like you are a soldier, like, because to be serious in all of these scenes, and she like
Yeah.
gives it her all. Like she
Yeah.
is legit trying to romance a duck.
Yeah.
Straight
like,
up.
just
abnormally
full
lusty.
serious face, like
Yeah.
trying to kiss it, and you just keep going, like even
Yeah.
when and I was reading some interviews and she's like, yeah, I kind of knew halfway through this was gonna bomb, but what are you gonna do? So like
Yeah.
she knew this was a
She's a
sinking
pro.
ship, and they're like, okay, we need you to go be on that, I don't know, the table, spoilers for Howard the Duck, if we need to say that. We need you to go lay on this table thing for the laser to work. And she's like, okay, this one's gonna bomb, but we're gonna have fun here. Like I just
Yeah.
the amount of commitment and professionalism, and the
Yeah.
fact that she just, I know that she agreed to do it, but like knowing you're on a sinking ship halfway through and you're still giving it that
Yeah,
type of
it says a lot.
performance, Leah Thompson, MVP.
Well,
MVP.
And I think the other thing to that point, Brian, is that she did it's not just the motions of acting she did. She convinced me the way that she spoke to that duck in that
Yep.
bed.
She wanted to fuck
She,
that duck.
that's precisely what I got.
Yeah.
She said, she's like, oh, I could show you the world, Ducky. And I was like, God
Uh,
damn, really?
I
like,
believe
I
you.
I believe you. I
Yeah.
believe it. That's why I stopped it and I paused it and I looked at Brittany and I went, what is this? And she said,
What?
well, this is a love story. And I
No,
said,
it's not.
and then I moved on. But that's just kind of where it was at. Like, I was like, I believe you. I believe that you and this duck, you're gonna use that duck condom.
You
Like,
gonna
I
fuck that
believe it.
duck. Am I the only one that's gonna say it tonight?
I know. I'm just trying to.
say
I was
that
trying to see how long I could last.
80% of this movie is about fucking this duck
It's
I-
100%.
or some type of sexual innuendo.
There,
to-
yeah.
Like it's some type of joke or backwards joke about this duck and sex. Oh
Yeah,
let's
it really
let's put an
is.
open condom in the wallet of a duck,
I want
I
to
mean,
get
and then have
whatever
Leah
this is
Thompson
off
be
of me.
impressed. Oh, Howard! Oh my God! First, I was like, "Where's the rest of the damn condom?" But then I'm like, "It's a goddamn duck."
Yeah. Yeah. And then not to mention, like, that's not a bathhouse. That's a brothel. Those are not things that just are in Cleveland. Like, that's just not something that's there.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, you're going to get a job as a towel boy. And I was like, okay, they're going to make it a pool. They didn't even try to do it any
No,
differently.
it-
And
it was
secondly,
so
who's fucking
gratuitous.
in that vat of mud?
Yeah, that's
Who-
what I was trying to figure out.
What is
Is that
happening?
sexy? First of all, that place looked like it stinks. So congratulations to the set team because you did your damn job. Everything
Yeah.
just looked sweaty, but it was a whole unnecessary. That's my thing with this movie. Okay, because fuck it. Okay, I get it. Like I see where we're at today. So here's
Yeah,
where
we're
I
going.
am.
Just
This
get after it.
movie had a whole bunch of unnecessary shit in it.
I
Everything
mean,
that was a joke
yes.
felt like it was extended times 3. I would look
That's
up
true.
and be like, this scene is not over yet. Like
Yeah.
we're still cracking jokes in the same that diner scene. Why would in the hell was that diner scene so long? That
Great-
entire
Great
them-
question.
Them ordering breakfast to them about to chop him up. To the whole thing just felt like
Yeah.
it's okay to chop up a duck because he looks different. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
granted, he's a duck humanoid, but when in where on God's green earth would people be like, you know what? Let's chop him up and laugh while we're doing it.
Yeah, the duck jokes in this were just too much. Like, and they just kept bringing them up, and it felt like And the other problem with it is that it felt like only half the cast was in on the joke.
Right.
Like
Yes.
half the cast leaned into the joke, like, "Oh, we're gonna chop him up," ha, 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 or
Yes.
he's gonna watch duck hunting clips, and then the other half of it was deadpanned. No, this is a serious moment.
It was all the extras. All of the extras
Yeah.
were on board for this movie and like, you know what? Fuck a duck. And then all the serious people were just like, you know what?
Yeah.
We got to get him back home. Like, what are we gonna do? I'm Dr. Jennings, and there's a demon loose in here. I'm like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah,
Thank you. That scene made me question my sanity because I was like, I don't know how they're trying to escape, but like the dude's a demon. So for the setup here, for people who have not seen this movie, Jeffrey
Yeah.
Jones, the principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
yep.
is like a demon is inhabiting him. Don't worry
Yes.
about how it happened. It just did. And they go to a diner and they're like talking to him. And Jeffrey Jones, I don't know if ILM did this or if he's like making this voice
Oh, he
like the
did
whole
that on his
time.
own.
And he's like, I am a demon. And they're like, and like Howard the Duck is of course like, whoa, don't tell your insurance that. and I'm just like, what person would say that?
Yeah.
Okay. And so they go to a diner. Meanwhile, Leah Thompson just giving it her all. She's trying to like center this. Meanwhile, they're ordering food across the table from a demon. And then he's like, I
Yes.
feel my powers returning. And like, they're like, oh, this might not be so good. And I'm like, dude, you just drove to a diner with a demon. Like, yes, it was clearly a bad idea. Like,
Yes.
what's happening? And then like the whole, as you said, Marcus, then the crowd's like, let's kill this duck. And then
And the
I
other
just
thing about-
don't get how we got there.
You're sitting across from someone who looks like they are actively dying.
Yes.
This man is covered
Yes.
in
I
sweat.
almost spit on
yes.
my LaCroix.
He's
Yeah.
covered in sweat. He has bags under his eyes a mile long. This man looks like a crack addict plus a million. And you're like, you know what the problem here is? That fucking talking duck.
Yeah.
No, it is not.
Yeah.
Like that is not the problem at all. The problem is this man who looks like he may be the only one still carrying polio. Like it is insane.
But then the plot dictates that they all need to go back to the laser. Did you all catch
Right.
that?
Yes.
Quite literally, the movie's like,
Right.
oh no, the laser. Oh, and then the demon's like, I gotta leave. The police are here. And they go to the diner. And it's like, well, we gotta go back. And I'm like, this is like some of the laziest screenwriting
Oh,
I've
yes.
seen.
Oh,
It
yeah.
Of literally to
absolutely
be
was.
like, we're gotta go from point A to point B back to point A because
Yep.
we have to. I can't think of another movie that has done it just so blatantly and awful. Like just so
bad.
lazy.
It's
And what's
bad.
really disappointing is it's written by the same people who wrote American Graffiti, which is amazing. So it just
how do you
Go
expect
ahead.
me to hand you a script and say, here's a talking duck, make it work? Like, granted, we've
Well-
had Star Wars and maybe Ghostbusters by now at this point.
I'll check. You guys keep talking.
Star
I'll
Wars,
check.
yes.
So-
Star Wars,
Wars,
is
yes.
done.
So we've had Star Wars at this point, and somebody says, you know what's going to be the next Star Wars? Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck is going to be the next Star Wars,
1984 was Ghostbusters.
and this was out
Thank
in
you.
'86.
6.
So they've had
Yeah.
experience to be able
Yeah.
to do this, and the graphics aren't really the problem.
No, the
The
graphics.
Um,
visuals are not the problem.
The
No.
visuals aren't the problem because I know what even the demon is more scary in Jennings than it is outside. That's what I'll say. When the demon revealed itself, it was more scary when it was in the body, when it
Yeah.
looked like he was freaking dying and sick, like.
And I
There
think-
was something to that.
and
and
it
I
was like
think
a little clayish animation, like. Of
And I
course,
think
like,
it's
I don't
because
know.
the demon outside of Jennings is a rancor with a tail.
He did look like
yes,
did look like a rancor.
and
Yes.
That's
It
the first thing I
felt-
thought.
Yes.
It felt like the thing, and so the reason it works in Return of the Jedi,
Oh.
not to always bring about Star
You're
Wars,
fine.
but
It's a
in
George
Return
Lucas
of the Jedi,
movie.
the Rancor works because it's so dark. And
Mhm.
like they
Yes.
cut away from it so frequently back to
Mhm.
Luke and then Jabba, 3PO, whatever. And it's so dark that you're scared because you don't really fully understand everything that's going on. You just know it's a large monster.
Mhm.
With this, it was just like,
There it is.
here's an action figure, and you're like, oh, that's
With a
disgusting.
scorpion's tail, and it's just like I don't
Yeah.
know what was. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It-
I-
it j-
Yeah,
What do you want me to say about this movie? What do you want me to say about this movie?
You say whatever you want to say. Here's the other thing that I think about this that I think is like a little troubling is not just a little troubling. There's a lot troubling. It's like just from the plot perspective, and we talk about writing and we talk about all of this top to
We
bottom.
do.
Is you go ahead and you take Leah Thompson and you make her overcommit to this like sexualized plot
Yes.
where you create this scene of will they, won't they in the middle of her bed.
Yes.
And first you make it seem like Howard's super into it. Then she turns it on and he's like, whoa, not into this at all.
Yeah.
Only to then 10 minutes later make her the plot device to get them back to the laser.
Yeah.
And
And she had to be pregnant, which was well, maybe not pregnant, but that was what the demon told her that Leah Thompson.
Oh yeah,
they
yeah.
had to
We
put the
need your
demon-
body.
They
Yep.
need your body to hold the demons or something like that. And I was.
Oh,
she looked-
that's right.
She looked at her stomach. She looked down, and I assumed she was looking at her stomach.
No, that was probably
Yep.
absolutely accurate, and I missed that.
Nope. She
I
looked down
know.
at her stomach and then she looked back at Jennings and Jennings was like, yes. Like, it was just like insane to me. So- And
Go
that's
ahead.
what bothers me is like the over sexualized stuff didn't need to be in there.
No.
You could have cut that out entirely. First off, this movie is close to 2 hours. You could have cut that out. And I'd be willing to bet that if you're not changing tone between like, he's in a room with a bunch of people trying to have sex. Isn't that funny? Oh, now he's going to have sex with Leah Thompson. Isn't that funny? And if you just make it, she finds him, takes him in. She's just trying to make sure he gets back home. If this is E.T., but a talking duck, I'm on board. That's fine. It's weird, but I'm fine with it.
Here's my thing. Who was this made for?
That's an
Because
excellent
What
question.
is the
This
rating on
movie
this?
is
PG.
rated PG. Parental guidance. That's it.
Yes.
That is it. And you have a duck. Do I want to take my kid to this movie and explain what a condom is to my kid? No,
Yeah.
I do not. Like
These
Leah
ducks had
Thompson's
tits.
butt.
That is not ducks. Do not
But
make
also
milk.
the
There are
guy-
all sorts of problems with this.
The guys, also the guys that are the creeps, the ones that keep every time Beverly has a fucking show, and after the show, the manager's like, "Oh, I want her to fuck me so I can get this money." And then the two creepy guys outside when we first meet Howard, it's like, bro, how many scenes does Leah Thompson have to be in where this is the focus of her whole thing?
Yes.
Yeah. You basically made her an object. That was it.
And you know what? The music wasn't. It was a bop. Okay,
The
I like the
music was
music.
fine.
I looked for the soundtrack on Spotify. I wanted to listen to more.
Music, the music that she played.
Her music, yeah,
Oh, okay.
like the 80s, like the 80s vibe, rock band music. And I was like, I would listen to this. Like maybe but you can't. You have to like go somewhere else for it. You can't get it on streaming right now. Maybe you can get it on YouTube, but some of us don't have YouTube Premium. You know, unlike some others. But
Ooh, that might be another podcast.
What the hell was that? It could be this podcast too. Yeah,
That's true. That's true.
My point being, the music was fine. I like the music.
So here's what I want to add.
Not enough to
that
redeem
real
the
quick.
movie.
The music, when Brian mentions the music, I didn't really pay much attention to the music that Beverly was playing. I'm not gonna lie. One of the things I did notice is the music for the villain was very up and boppy. I don't know if anybody. I don't know if they just paid for one type of song and just used it for every scenario. But when the villain was destroying the lab, the music is almost that of Heroes music and not of villains music. So they're playing it and it's like I'm destroying shit. So it's like it just didn't match for me.
Yeah,
like what was going on, and also these sub lines that felt like we're gonna turn into subplots. Howard knew how to play music, or this little ditty that I did. Like, was this supposed to lead into something or what?
They originally wanted to do a sequel.
Oh, did they?
Yes, that's why the movie drops off.
Jesus.
And I could go on for ages about how pissed off I was at how this movie ended. Like I was so angry when they just trot him out and she's singing the song Howard the Duck. I was like, there's no closure. There's no he made it.
No.
There's no people have brought him in and accepted him as one of their own. This
you didn't
is
get
just,
it from the crowd chants of Howard the
he's
Duck.
just there.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah, it just it bugged me. And then they like sneak off into a corner and like, let's get really close, Ducky, and like get out of here. Like there was all of this that I hated how this ended.
It
But
reminded me of oh my gosh, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the
little
one
bit.
we reviewed.
Oh,
But
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what it was basically somebody like, what if we did that, but like literally no epilogue? What if we just did the big music number and ended the movie?
Yeah.
And that's it.
And they were
Yeah.
like, mm-hmm.
and
Sure,
they're like,
fine.
yes, this will make $50 million for sure.
Yeah. I think that is. Yeah, you're right, Marcus. Like it was very much like 80s villain music where it was
Mhm.
like boom, 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 like upbeat and
Yeah.
kind of weird and
Yeah.
very bassy.
Yeah.
And the rest of the music is forgettable. Like
Mm.
it's jazzy and slow. But there were so many subplots. I mean,
Was there a main plot?
I mean, the main plot is
Him
the
getting
main
back home?
plot is basically E.T. Like
Okay,
it's
he wants to get home.
alien comes to Earth. We need to get him home. A new villain introduced themselves to impede him from getting home. There's your plot. Like that's the only thing different is E.T. actually went home. Like that's the only thing. Spoilers for E.T. I guess. So like that's the plot for this.
Damn it, I haven't seen it yet.
And so it is that's just the plot for this top to bottom. And I have so many questions about that rating of PG. Like, not to keep coming back to it, is that there are moments.
No, the MPAA is trash. I feel
no,
like I can
they're trash
confidently
people.
say that it's
Yeah.
trash, and I feel like this is one of the reasons of just they do not actually care, like
Right.
because in my opinion, this movie is not appropriate for children.
No,
Absolutely
it should be
not.
rated R.
I
No.
mean, this is
At the very least,
PG-13
PG-13.
bare minimum.
Yeah.
I don't feel like
Oh,
you could
that's still
get.
bad.
I don't feel like you could get a naked duck in a PG movie now, but like,
No.
No, probably not.
I don't like. I just, I like if it's for children. If this is for children, I can get it. It's a talking duck. I
Mhm.
get it. It may not be for me, but I get it. But like, what? It's like, what if the talking duck was a washed up musician
Mhm.
who was just
Yeah.
super jaded?
Mhm.
That's not a kid friendly thing at all. Like half the stuff he's talking about and like all the quips he makes, no child is
They're
going to
not child
understand
quips.
things about
No.
insurance
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like,
No.
oh, make sure to put that on your taxes or whatever he said. And I'm like, no kid understands what you're
Right.
talking about. Like, is that for the
Yeah.
parents that took you to the movie? But
I mean,
even
I
then, the parents are probably just groaning about it.
I suppose the only thing that this movie like didn't get dinged for is it's not particularly violent. Like
It's not violent,
it's
no.
scary, but it's not particularly violent if you kind of look past the fact that Howard was about to stab a grown man in the eye with an ice pick. Like but at the last minute he decided not to. Like that's the only like truly violent moment, and there's no blood, and it's relatively innocuous.
Yeah,
I guess I was gonna ask you to-
intense.
I guess I was gonna ask you to define violent because in my mind, I'm thinking like if the duck wasn't a duck, something soft, cuddly, and funny to laugh at.
Mhm.
Same scenarios all around where they're roughing up Howard, they're doing whatever, and I don't know, is it still not considered violent? Because I guess to me it was like he was getting into a fight every other this stupid ass quack fu reference and
Yep,
like
that's what I was
Quack
gonna say.
Fu. Yeah.
you know, like all of this, he's punching the bad people and like whatever. And like, granted, there is no blood or anything in the explosions.
No.
There's nothing that is like extremely gruesome, but I don't know. He's getting into a fight every other thing. I just did not like this, and I wish I could say more, but I just didn't like this, and I really feel like I just wasted my time watching this. I watched it in 2 sittings. I watched.
I
one-
also had to watch it in 2 sittings. I
it was
couldn't do it.
bad. It was like I was so upset because I'm like, I want better for Britney. And it's like, I want better. Usually she has great taste, loving basketball and The Godfather. These are deep thinking movies with such rich cultural backgrounds, and then fucking Howard the goddamn Duck.
You know, everybody's got their own Howard the Duck.
They
you know?
do.
Everybody's
Wild Wild West.
Like,
yeah. I mean, but I would watch Wild Wild West at least 3 times before someone would ask me to watch
What
this
can I say?
once.
The scientist was annoying. I'm just gonna go down my list. The scientist,
please.
Do it.
Phil was fucking annoying. I hated it.
Phil,
I hated
help me
Phil
out.
because
Philzy.
all of his goddamn dialogue was annoying as hell for him to be, and then for him to just in the end be a director of the concert shows. What type of evolution is that?
Yeah.
You said
And
you wanted to own your own museum, Philzy. Why the
And
fuck are you at a
it-
rock concert?
And also, you're not an engineer, you're a biologist. You work
Right.
in the bird department of a nature museum, like of a natural history museum. You're not qualified. When he yells at him, fix the engine, motherfucker, I don't know how. Like, I don't
Oh,
what do you
I
mean,
have
fix it?
bones to pick with that
So,
gyro.
You're Marcus,
flyer.
you're right. He was annoying, and it's just his arc is terrible.
Is it
Is
even an
bad.
arc? He just
It's
shows
not.
up with pertinent information.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's it. That's his whole purpose, was to be, I know a scientist. Like that's literally.
I mean,
it.
basically.
yeah, you're
And-
right.
And then the dialogue when she's will they won't they with the duck, okay? She's like kissing the duck. You see through the shadow, the silhouette. She kisses the duck beak, and the two judgmental motherfuckers. This ain't even your house, first of all.
Oh,
Yes.
You
yeah,
walk in, and the
yes!
guy's like, "This is an abomination to the laws of nature." Bitch, you a scientist or a preacher? Which one?
Right.
And you're just walking into a woman's apartment, like
What? She's
mean,
naked.
what?
I guess so. Like,
I-
yeah.
I hated
I-
this. I hated
well,
it.
the other thing too is like I thought this movie was gonna be like kind of serious. I was like, oh, are we going for like a noir, like
Mhm.
jaded musician thing at the start?
Mm-hmm.
Because he was playing all the voicemails or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, we want to see you. And he's like looking at stuff, and he's like, clearly he's had
Mhm.
a career in something, and he's clearly depressed. And I was like, honestly, maybe I'll give this a shot, like, because like everybody gets in a rut, and this I could see this
Yeah.
connecting with people about like, yeah, I'm happy because I found what makes me happy, and it's joy and whatever. But like, we never come back to that.
No.
It's literally like it's set dressing for nothing. You could have literally
Yeah.
started this movie with the duck just going through time. By the way,
Yeah.
in the middle of this movie, when he's talking about, oh yeah, I got zapped from space, they do a random flashback. Like we don't
Yeah.
remember he
Yeah.
got
The thing that
zapped
happened yesterday.
from
Yeah.
space.
Like he's got PTSD because
Like-
those chairs started rocking. He then
Yes.
got PTSD.
Yeah.
And then-
Yes.
I was like, okay.
yeah. 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 This duck is triggered by a lot of things.
Well, and then he arrives and he's just like, I want to go back. I'm this sassy, sarcastic duck. Better check your home insurance. I don't know. I don't
But
like,
that,
Right.
was the,
just-
but that was the other thing for me, Brian, was he was annoying. The
Oh, he
character
was.
of Howard the Duck
He
was annoying because he didn't want help, but
No.
yet he's
Mhm.
always complaining for somebody. I want to get home. I want to get home. But you are a duck in a human world. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have the sassiest mouth. You're disrespectful, and yet you want everybody to help you. That ain't how this shit works.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, you're easily offended.
mm.
That's the other thing that I just
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
understand either.
Yes.
Like easily offended, like felt disrespected by Leah
So-
Thompson's character, so much so that he's like, I'll find work. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like it that level of, and calling everybody like toots and sweetheart. Like
Yes.
it's just the tone of what he was supposed to be doesn't match up. Is he like bewildered because he's in a world that's not his own? Or is he like, I'm like super confident detective and I can kind of quip and say whatever I want? And you switched back and forth so many times I didn't know what was
Yep.
happening.
It's true.
It
I
was
mean,
bizarre.
No more Mr. Nice Duck. Like,
Yeah.
I also I have to share this. I texted Doug
Yeah.
about this because I knew we had watched the
Yeah.
movie, and this was in my first sitting. By the way, I
Okay.
stopped after the seduction scene because I couldn't keep going. But basically they're like in bed, so he's staying at Leah Thompson's apartment, and she's like, "Come on into bed," and it's like, okay, whatever.
And let's watch Letterman.
Yes, you took the words right out of my mouth. And he goes, Howard the Duck says, I have developed a greater appreciation for the female version of the human anatomy. Literally says, Aru. And then Beverly goes, Howard, you're the worst. Howard, hee. Beverly, let's watch Letterman. Howard, okie dokie. Someone got paid to write that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all I can think of is like in the 80s, someone was trying to make the next Star Wars happen. And instead they gave $30 million to this duck movie while there's like a struggling screenwriter that's like, I have this sci-fi epic that talks
Yeah.
about greed and war and these wonderful and like all these really cool themes. No, we're gonna go with Howard the Duck and have dialogue about, okay, we'll watch Letterman. Like,
Yeah.
I had to stop watching.
It's
Yeah.
terrible. It's
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
frustrating to watch this movie that I will. First of all, I paid $3.99 for this.
As did I. As
Wait.
did I.
Yo, this was on Peacock.
I don't have no goddamn Peacock.
You can sign up for free.
I ain't doing that again. That's how I end up paying
Mother.
5 months for the other app.
Oh, you get the free version.
Oh,
Oh,
You know
Did you
what,
get
Brian?
commercials
I
with that, Brian?
really need to support that kid. That kid probably has bills. This was made in 1986. That guy's at least 42.
so you're helping out with the
I'm
residuals.
trying to help out. Trying to
alright.
help out with the residuals
Well,
as much as I
I
possibly
mean, look,
can.
this was also my first Peacock experience, which
How was that?
That it was strange. Like
Okay.
it's
Did you
so
scroll through it?
clear. We're gonna take a sidebar here. It's
Yeah.
so clear Peacock has like no content on their platform.
It's so
That, like,
obvious.
It's like, gosh, I had a really good comparison. I'll think of it later. But like essentially the tiles for all the movies and shows, I
Mhm.
want to say they're at least 50% bigger than any other service that I'm on, even Hulu. So it looks like, oh, look at all this stuff
They
we
got, like,
have.
You go
But
3 boops over, you go boop
Yep.
boop.
and
That's it.
then it just starts
Yeah,
repeating.
this is the triple space. This is the
I
single
mean-
space to double space conundrum.
And you're just like, you're looking at it and you're just like, I mean, yeah, if I don't want to watch The Office, what else is on here? And it's like, hey, we got Just Shoot Me. Hey, and you're
Remember that
like,
sitcom from the late 90s?
okay. And it's like, I mean, obviously, like Superstore, all the NBC stuff is on there, but like,
Mhm.
I was like, this is bare. This is like real bare. This is kind of depressing. And they had a bunch of Halloween movies on there,
Yeah.
but you can't, like, what do you do during the year? It's just also my last thing here.
Brian, what do you do during the year?
What does a non-holiday month look like? Are they just like, hey, watch The Office and I don't know,
Enjoy May.
and Parks and Rec? Like, hey, we got. They don't even have Friends. Like, that's what's baffling
That's
to me.
the yep.
Yeah.
They don't
In any
have Friends because HBO Max found Friends.
I
Like,
mean, like, hey, how do you feel about ER? And you're like, I mean,
I mean, that's cool, I guess.
and
okay,
the other
but, like,
longest running sitcom that NBC can claim. Would you like to watch Seinfeld? That's on Netflix.
Too bad.
Like,
Go to Netflix. And then I went to Netflix because I started watching Cowboy Bebop, and
Ooh.
like
mm.
the tiles on those, it was like microscopic compared
Oh,
to
yeah.
Peacock. It was like, oh, I gotta put on my glasses here and see what we have. In any case, last thing I'll say about Peacock, if you're watching it on a browser, they put the volume in the top right hand corner. So like if I wanted to pause it, or if I wanted to change the volume, I went to the pause button and I just hover around there thinking, like a normal video player, the volume button's gonna be there. Nope. Top right hand corner. Why? Because they could. Because they're Peacock.
Something has to set them apart, Brian. Jeez.
Because they're different.
Jesus.
I almost lost it there. I almost went on another tirade, but yeah, I just like every single time it and maybe I associated this with Howard the Duck, but like every time I needed to pause it, I was like, Howard the Duck. I have to go to the
Right.
top right hand corner
Right.
for the
Yeah.
volume control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. in
To
any
that
case,
same subject, I did find out Hulu has a good mobile app.
Okay.
Their
well, that's good to know.
desktop app, as I am on season 8 of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the final season.
so good
Okay.
show.
Wow. You've
Oh
been
my
trucking.
gosh. I think I
Yeah.
consume about 5 episodes a week. But the way that Brooklyn Nine-Nine, by the way, I just want to put this reminder in there. Howard the Duck fucking sucked. That's why we're talking about this now. So
Don't worry. I'll bring us back.
Don't worry, yeah.
The Brooklyn Nine-Nine is set up, the way that it's set up as a show is so good. It's about 22 minutes long. It's not extremely long show if you think about it.
It's
And the
not.
setup, if you're
no.
a person who pays attention to how shows are set up, it clearly puts you at a cold open, a setup, a climax, a resolution, and then your setup for the next. So like the show itself is set up in a very simple way that it's easy for me to consume 5 episodes while they're still
Yes.
tying in other episodes, introducing characters 3 episodes ago, and then reintroducing them like at midway through a season or whatever. But then of course they have this Fox and NBC switch where they went from like 22 episodes to like 16, and then the final
Yep.
season is like only 10 episodes.
Oh,
But
sure.
Hulu, it's easy for me to consume it on Hulu on my phone than it really is on the app. And I have no
Yes.
idea why there's a
insane.
significant difference there.
You know, I've thought about this too because I feel like it kind of it's this workplace comedy, right? It's like it kind of goes with Parks and Rec, kind of The Office. Like there's a whole other bunch of shows I could name, and I feel like when you're on the go, because I do this too, like when you're on the go, it's a known quantity. Like we're not watching
Yeah.
Dune, right? I mean, we're watching a formulaic workplace comedy. We need to know the people, so we have the setups and the punchlines, and we're done. It reminds, honestly, the most it reminds me of is 30 Rock. It feels like
Oh,
they
sure.
had
Yep.
the template for 30 Rock, and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, what if we didn't have sassy Tina Fey and it's cops,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mhm.
like they're cool cops,
Yeah.
like
Right.
And
you
it's
know.
not- and this cop show is not. It's not. I have my frustrations with it because of how it handles certain issues and ends it
Yes.
with its period is a very much a haha moment on serious issues,
Yes.
and it blows my mind on why they do that. But like that's just a different subject for a different day.
I mean,
Sure.
I think, yeah, that there's a lot that could be
Yeah.
said there. I mean, and the thing is, though, is like they focus on the workplace dynamics. You
Right.
could probably substitute all that out, and they could be lawyers, and
You-
it's
you-
probably
true.
they don't
Yeah.
even have to be police. It could be
No.
they could be nurses, and it would be like the
Easily.
same.
Yeah.
It'd be
easily.
the same thing.
It's the same
So-
dynamic,
And I think
like-
they realized that when all of this stuff started happening with COVID and then
Yep.
like George
2020,
Floyd
yeah.
and all of this stuff started happening, I
Mhm.
think they kind of knew this show probably won't last too much
Yeah.
longer with the way that people are like perceiving police and like the split in politics
Yep.
and everything. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
they hint at it, they talk about it, but it's whatever.
Welcome to our welcome to Brooklyn Nine-Nine in
Gotta
black
plug
and
up
white.
my laptop.
So here, this is the last thing I'm going to say, and I think we just
Oh.
because there's really not much
Look.
left for us to get into. I mean, this movie is insanity top to bottom. It is absolutely bizarre. What I do want to talk about is like sometimes those things that are ingrained in our memory childhood wise that really have the staying power, because we can joke about like Britney saying like, oh man, I fell in love with this as a kid.
Yeah.
She is not the only person who
No,
like has
that's
said
true.
this. There
No.
are multiple people. I've made videos about Howard the Duck on TikTok between when I watched it and now, and
Yep.
there are people who comment and say, I loved this movie as a
Yes.
kid. Leah Thompson is super hot. Love this movie. And then I have gotten that comment not once.
Leah
but
Thompson is super hot in this movie. so-
Seriously, I have gotten that comment several times, top to bottom, like as I've kind of gone through and tried to hype up the pod this week's episode. And so I'm just kind of curious, and this is maybe to our transition into sort of tail end of this, is what are those things
Mhm.
that you know in the back of your mind are terrible, that are just so ingrained into your childhood that if somebody brings it up, you know it's bad, but you're like, it's also awesome and I love it. So what are some of those things for you all?
That's a lot. I think that's a lot. For me, one will be Power Rangers. I know how
Sure.
bad Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is and how bad the acting is and how stereotypical it is. You know what I mean? Like in various ways. But I think for me, the one that immediately stands out is Power Rangers.
Sure.
Yeah, there's nothing special about it, but I still hold it near and dear and will still rewatch some of those like seasons back to back. I'm sure there's something worse, but give me some time.
That's absolutely fair. Brian?
Honestly, I want to say that like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like Secret of the Ooze. I don't know. I haven't watched it in a while, but like
Still a good
any of the
movie.
live action turtle movies,
Those are great.
I'm always like, well, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
movie. I don't have to think
Yeah.
about it. Thinking about it, I'm like,
Oh, I got
Vanilla
another one.
Ice. Vanilla Ice has like an entire like
Oh,
song in that
He has
movie.
a straight. He
He
has the
does.
ninja rap, and it's
And for
amazing,
3
but it's also
minutes.
the worst.
For 3
And I
minutes
got-
of that movie.
And
Yeah.
and my parents like paid money to go sit in a room to do
Mhm.
that with me.
Oh, yeah.
And so shout out to Bill and Peggy. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. And there's
Okay.
no way they enjoyed that.
Yeah.
There's no,
No.
way.
But-
I also want to make a comment. I was at my nephew's birthday party this weekend and I brought it up. I was like, hey, we're watching Howard the Duck for the podcast. And like there was a significant group of people like, oh, I love Howard the Duck. My sister-in-law Debbie in particular was like, I love that movie growing up, and I was like,
Yeah.
What?
this is not a movie
Yeah.
for children, but it's the same thing. People,
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but yeah,
Yeah.
like it got like a stranglehold on people of like, it's a
Mhm.
talking duck.
But
Yeah.
also, here's mine, Batman. And you can insert whatever Batman here,
Batman
Okay.
right?
89,
I think
Michael
to
Keaton?
me, Keaton's first Batman movie was, I don't know. I don't think it was all that when I look back on it, but like it is highly esteemed. But Batman, this isn't the one I'm talking about. Batman with Val Kilmer. That
Oh,
one
yeah,
is
Batman Forever.
Batman Forever
Yeah.
is a terrible movie.
Yeah.
And the acting is weird in it,
insane.
but I love that movie.
Yeah, it is.
And also the one with Clooney. We talk about bat nipples all the time, but I
Right.
fucking will watch that movie every single time it comes on.
I agree. Batman Forever was like the first Batman movie I like really. I don't know. I understood it as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I must have watched. I think we had the cassette tape. I'm pretty sure
Probably.
we did. Like, and I love that Two-Face and
Mhm.
Riddler were there. You got the Bat.
Jim Carrey as
the
Riddler, which
colors.
is amazing.
Yeah, Jim.
I-
And honestly,
oof, maybe I
Tommy Lee
should
Jones.
rewatch
Tommy
that.
Lee Jones
'cause,
again.
yeah,
Tommy Lee Jones
Tommy Lee Jones was good as
plays
Two-Face.
Two-Face.
Was
Everybody.
Two-Face.
legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'll do.
I don't know. That might
Maybe
that
that
might be
movie was good.
entertaining. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, Batman and Robin was on this list.
Batman and
Of the
Robin.
people-
is
No,
No,
basically
Batman and
the-
Robin. I feel like as a kid, I knew I was like, I know my parents are not enjoying this, but I'm loving it.
Yeah, yeah. But Batman and Robin was on
I
this
love
list
that
of,
movie.
of things the Patreon folks could vote on.
That is true.
And so it
Good time.
it was up there. Here's mine.
I love that movie.
This is mine.
Wow.
This is my thing that when I was
Oh my
growing
God.
up,
What?
this was a this was a like a 45-minute made for TV thing that was on Fox that was a parody of Star Wars where they just took your thumb and they put little characters on it. And if you don't believe me, here's a clip from the goddamn movie.
It's
Why
Thumb
does this-
Wars
why do
for
I
people who
vividly
weren't
remember
able to
this?
see
Yeah.
the image, but
Thumb
it's a bunch of
and not
thumbs.
just and Thumb Wars, the
Mhm.
Phantom Cuticle, like that. It was just an excuse
Oh
to
my
make
God.
bad hand and finger jokes. But at the time, I was like, "This shit's hilarious."
You know
like
what? What's
Yes.
so funny is people give crap to Family Guy and Robot Chicken for like you just ripped
Yeah.
off Star Wars and blah, blah, and it's like people have been doing this
For a long time.
forever,
decades.
forever.
Like, yeah,
And
I
so-
mean,
So yeah, that was mine, and I know it's bad, and I know it's bad because if you go down the rabbit hole of other movies that he did,
yeah,
like it's bad. Like that. So
top to
we
bottom.
all have those things that you look back on it and you're like, why the fuck did I watch this?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
why did I love it so much? But Howard the Duck is very much in that category for some people of like, yeah, this is weird, but I love it. I watched it as a kid
Also,
and I love it.
The 80s is a weird time because
That's true.
and obviously I was born in 94. So like do with that information what you will. But like the 80s, from what I understand, was an interesting time where pretty much it felt like anything goes. Like if it was eclectic and it
True.
was eccentric, the 80s kind of just had that corner. It had that, like it created that
It did.
that piece. Like, and basically everything's going back to the 80s and the 90s. Excuse me, 80s and the 90s now, fashion wise and trend wise a little bit too, right? Because everything repeats itself eventually. But I think that that's perfectly okay to like this movie. For
Oh,
me,
yeah.
and it's like it's perspective and it's about perception. And granted, it was like between this Mario and Batman, you know, whatever. This movie isn't a terrible movie. It's just not for me. Like everybody's gonna have some, and it's not. I don't think it's necessarily the memories to my favorites. It's not necessarily the movie itself. It's the memories I have attached to these movies because
Yeah.
I remember having, what movie was that? I think it was, I learned to rewind the VCR to Wild Wild West. The
Oh,
VHS.
yeah.
Yeah, you
That
said
was
that
how-
before.
that's how I taught myself how to rewind movies. And for me, it's the attachment to remembering that and remembering
Yeah.
Batman and Robin putting on
Yeah.
a cape, putting on
Yep.
a towel on my back as a cape
Yep.
and watching that and being like, oh, I don't have to have superpowers. I got a broomstick. I can do the same damn thing. So I don't know. It's the memories attached to it. So like
Yeah.
all these jokes for Britney are obviously just jokes because like we know Britney.
Right.
But it's just, Howard the Duck is just an interesting movie. It's just
Yeah.
very interesting to me.
Yeah.
I still feel it's a bad movie.
No, it is a bad. No,
No,
no, no.
I mean,
It
Brian,
is a
it's
bad
bad.
movie. It's bad.
not good.
It's
It's
bad.
not good.
I,
This is
the-
not good.
I don't
You
know.
know what
I-
else
I
is thinking?
feel like
You remember that Star Wars? Oh, God damn it!
What's
What is
that?
the name? It's a Star Wars parody movie, and
Okay.
it's like it's all space movie parody movies, really. And is it Spaceballs?
Yeah, that's-
You remember
That-
Spaceballs?
that
also
forever
is
will
another one.
be-
That's
Yes.
another one.
That's
Yes.
good. That's
Oh, yeah.
classic Mel Brooks for me.
Well,
Yep.
Yeah.
And fun fact about Spaceballs, they legit just asked George Lucas, like, hey, we're gonna make a parody movie. Like, can we get your blessing? Is this okay? And he was like, yeah, sure. You want this unused footage from episode 4? Here you go. You want the sounds? Go for it. Like,
Yeah.
he was in on the joke, which I always
Jesus.
appreciated, which is why I think George Lucas is always cool with people razzing his work.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's just I also feel like there's like a generational technology thing here, and I promise I'm
Yeah.
not gonna like go too far off the path here, but I also feel like the access we have to media, right? And Doug and I have talked
Mhm.
about this before, where our
Hmm.
kids, they've never really had to do commercials, right? They
No.
just they for me, they like turn on the TV and do Wild Kratts, and I'm gonna watch Wild Kratts back to back with
Yeah.
no
If
commercials.
a commercial shows up, Harrison and Harper say the TV's broken.
Exactly.
Or the TV it's stopped. Like it's stopped
And
playing.
And so like I also feel like it's this people have had opportunities for this
Mhm.
memory to get hold of because well, it's a George Lucas movie and there's a talking
True.
duck. Sure, I'll buy it for the kids, whatever. We'll have it on
Right.
cassette and we'll put it on. And so I feel like it was just access or limited access thereof. I don't know. My point being, like, I feel like there was just more of this culture of like, well, we only have these movies.
Yeah.
We don't have access to a ton. You can watch Howard the Duck again. And I feel like that's where kind of some of this came from. I think it's the
Sure.
same thing for TMNT with me. Because like I had the one Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah.
That's it. If I want to watch Ninja Turtles, you're watching the one movie. Now, if you want to watch Spider-Man,
You pick which one you want to watch.
like
Right.
what era, what actor,
Mhm.
animated, computer, or do you
Right.
want 2D? Like
Yeah. And I think the other
feel
thing
like
is
that plays into this a little bit. It's not the entire it, but I do
Mhm.
feel like that's part of it.
and you had to go to a video store.
I mean,
You had to go rent a movie. Like if you didn't see it in the theater and you didn't want to buy the VHS,
Ain't no
you
Redbox?
went to a building and you went
I
to a
mean-
building and you walked up and down an aisle. And if it's I can watch All Dogs Go to Heaven again, or we can try Howard the Duck,
R.I.P.
I get it.
Blockbuster.
I
But
get
Also,
it. Like,
I'm thinking on the dialogue too, right? And
Yeah.
because now y'all have opened up my mind to whatever. Let's fuck it. We have intellectual conversations. But I'm also thinking about there's a lot of movies that I've recently just rewatched where I understood the adult jokes being made in these
Oh,
movies.
yeah.
Right? So as
Oh,
a kid,
yes.
obviously I don't know what a condom is. As a kid, I
No.
don't know the blooming ducks. I don't get these references that are
Blooming
being
ducks.
made. You know what I mean? So like it's like as a kid, all I see is there's this duck. He's getting into trouble. There's all this other
Yep.
shit. Like, you know what I mean? And that's fun to me to watch this little
Yep.
duck get thrown around.
yeah.
Because it's abnormal. But then as I rewatch it, of course you're like, okay, well, so like a kid wouldn't notice duck boobs in the background
know-
of it. They wouldn't notice it. It wouldn't even affect them.
Right. To Brittany's point that she said when I had said that I didn't like it, she said if you had seen it when you were a child, you wouldn't have so many problems. To which I
It's a
said,
colorful movie in some
I am
areas.
burdened with it now.
Yeah, because I know what boobies are and I know what a condom is now. So that's why it's a lot more disturbing for me to see this lady sexually seduce a duck.
yeah.
Right. Well, and he
I-
feels a girl
Or
up when he
jokingly
first
do it, I
lands
guess.
on the planet. He they're making out in the alley and he's
That's
like,
right.
"Whoa."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Um,
what are you doing?
I need to. So this is according to IMDb trivia. I don't know how. I can't verify this, but apparently at the test screening, Sid Sheinberg and Frank Price, who were both executives at
Mhm.
Universal, allegedly argued and then got into a fist fight after the
Yes.
test screening.
Yes.
And I believe Frank Price resigned from Universal after this movie came out. I would need to double check it.
yeah.
But like, I can't imagine watching. You put all this money into it, and you get Howard the Duck. I might get heated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. So that is I got that confirmed from the Wikipedia article too, Brian, that it
Oh
is
my
in there as
gosh.
well, this
I
story
can't
that they
believe it.
that they fought. And this is kind of an interesting concept. So the long story short production of how this actually happened and came into existence is, one, there's a documentary that you can watch
Is there
about
really?
how this movie was
Oh,
made,
God.
start to finish, and it's
why would I
called
that?
I think it's
How it's
called
made.
I think it's a documentary, a look back at Howard the Duck.
Oh,
So Willard Huck and Gloria Katz, they both wrote American Graffiti with George Lucas.
yes.
They also went to film school with George Lucas. So they were friends in college. So they get done working on American Graffiti, and Lucas goes, hey, I just read a comic called Howard the Duck. This could be really good. There's elements of film noir, absurdism, like kind of satire.
In
This
the
could
comics,
be
yes.
this
yeah.
could be very, very funny. We should make a movie. So those two write it, and then they essentially then go around and pitch it to different folks. And that's how you get into the like commitment at Universal of
Wow.
like you get into the commitment of Universal of he still owed them a production. So they were like, this can count and we'll take it. But then that leads into the argument, because when they left test screenings, audiences said start to finish, I think the film, like as they said, as people were walking out, they basically said like, they basically were walking out of the movie and nobody was saying anything. Like they were just like, imagine people
Quiet.
walking out of your movie and not being like, oh my God, I hated it, but just being like,
Quiet.
okay. Like, and that's what led to this like argument that eventually resulted in a rumored fist fight and somebody's resignation, because they were so pissed that this had happened. So
I imagine walking out of the movie being like, it is what it is.
I
Like,
mean,
that's a terrible review.
yeah. You don't, that's not really the feeling you want to leave with audiences. What did you think? It happened. It was a movie that happened.
Because
Like
the test screening, like that allows you space to
you're supposed to build hype.
yeah, like that's kind of discouraging to say all this money you just invest, like you said, $30 million in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of crack.
I mean,
Oh, that's a ton. That's a ton of crack.
A shit ton of crack.
The other thing too is like you work. I mean, you work on something for a year, and this is what you get. But the other part of this to me is like you're putting 7 people in a duck suit, and no one's like, "Hey,
Yep.
hey, this doesn't feel right." Like
Hey.
we got Leah Thompson here trying to kiss a duck. Are we doing the right thing? Are we?
Also, where are the black ducks?
That's, I mean, another great question.
Where are the black ducks? A whole lot of white ducks in Duck World. I don't like the way that's looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was even talks in 1986 that they were going to make a video game based on the movie.
No.
To do what?
I guess it was going to be like a side scroller type video game.
Oh, I can see it in my mind right now.
Yep. So there was that too. And it was, I mean, and much like the image of this is him holding a newspaper, the image on the video game was him holding a map. Like, and so, yeah, they had plans for this. Like, this was supposed to be a long-term solution with a sequel and a video game. And it just, because of, and look, I think top to bottom there, this movie is, I think if you can watch this somewhere for free and you're going to get drunk with friends, give it a view, like, but don't take it seriously. I think this movie
is that the commercial for Peacock.
Yeah, that's
basically.
it.
Are you going to get drunk with friends and watch 6 episodes of The Office? Then Howard the Duck, Peacock's your game.
NBC, Universal. I'm willing to forgive and forget if y'all just move that volume button, and if you can pay us, and we'll happily advertise Peacock.
Brian's demands are not excessive.
I will
Those
take
are
all
not
the stuff I said back about the.
That's
tiles.
literally the bare minimum. And
like,
it's very much the bare
move
minimum.
the volume button, and we will like pump up Peacock here. So.
That's true. We'll take you there.
Damn cock.
But this movie like is just, I think there's something about it that it just didn't, it's all over the place directionally, tone wise, and that's what makes it bad.
Yep.
I think if you have solid writing and you pick a tone and you pick a theme you want to stick with, like either sexualize them and make it PG-13 or don't, but doing both leaves me confused and lost for a majority of it. And that's really all I'm going to say. It's exactly it. It's, you're wondering why, and you're ashamed, and you're also confused. And so it's just a whole thing.
Discovering yourself for the first time. No, seriously, it makes you feel awkward in moments because Leah Thompson is filling up a duck. And I know that the scene is supposed to be her like jokingly doing it because she knows
It
he
was
can't
not
handle it.
joking.
But it was like, no, I think it was jokingly because when he pulls the covers back, she's laughing because she knows he can't handle it.
Yeah, well, she was laughing, and then she like straddles him and gets on top of him. Marcus, like, I don't
I don't
think
know why
that's a
that
joke.
I don't know. That she seemed to be that seemed very serious.
Because
Look.
at the end of the movie, they end up together, right?
I don't know.
don't
To
know.
me, they do.
I'm pretty sure that's a conflict of interest as far as being a manager to that band.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
I mean that band. He's gonna be. I would love a sequel to this where he's the Yoko Ono, and
Yep.
it's like a behind the music of
100%.
them, and he's the
Yes.
reason they split up.
Jesus.
And then they flash forward to like 30 years later, and he has to get the band together again. Oh,
Oh my
god,
God.
damn it!
What does Marvel? I wonder what Marvel thinks of this movie.
I don't know. That's a great
They
question.
crack a joke about it at the end of Howard the Duck is
I mean,
at the end of
Guardians.
Guardians. Yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
he was in What If too. I mean,
Mhm.
it feels like he's just this side character of like, remember how terrible this movie was?
Right.
Well,
right.
and a lot of people like love him from the comic. I mean, he has a lot of love from the comic books. My
Well,
guess
his
is
comics
that
are way different than this. Movie.
yes, my guess is that this was a sign of Marvel was like, oh fuck, we got to keep the lights on. Like, what can we do? Oh, they want to make a movie? Don't care. Go ahead, just do it. Like, and I think that they were just
And then Blade came along.
I don't
and
know.
it was like saved us.
I mean, they definitely probably got paid in a licensing fee, but I
Yeah.
don't.
yeah,
I don't
because that's. I
know.
mean,
There is
that's
no
how.
Marvel. There's no Marvel tag on this movie.
No, I think it's
No.
a lot of this is because remember at the time, like Six Flags and like Universal Studios all had like theme parks at this point in time, and you could see licensed characters there, so they were a little crunched for cash. So this might have something to do with
And-
it, but I don't know. So
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, gentlemen, let's close out Howard the Duck. First off, I want to say thank you to our Patreon fans
Yeah,
for
thank y'all.
participating with
Yeah.
us.
Thank
And
you.
although this was trash, and I rue the day I gave you that option, I'm also super happy and thankful
mean,
that you all
look.
participated in this and gave us something interesting to discuss.
I mean,
we
I
gave
guess.
you our authentic opinion.
It's
Like
true.
we did it.
Yeah.
We
we did it,
watched
guys.
this movie
Yeah.
in earnest.
We did
I
it.
We
I
did
mean,
it. We did it, guys. We made
Marcus
it.
and I had to stop watching it.
I stopped.
And
I
watching
watched
this.
it all the
back.
way through, one sitting.
Did you drink
I
alcohol?
did not.
You watched this sober?
I mean,
I
I watched
absolutely
it
did.
sober.
I
but
watched
that
it
was-
sober my second sitting.
There
Finished
are
it out
very
sober.
few movies for this podcast that I will watch intoxicated because I like to make sure that I pick up on stuff. And usually I get drunk and I get tired and I go to bed. So like
Nice.
I'm just an
Okay,
old
that's
person.
fair.
Gentlemen, I mean, my feeling on it is watch it with friends, with some adult beverages involved.
yeah.
How do you all feel about it as we close out? Brian?
Ditto. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, you want a bad movie to razz? This is it.
Yep,
Like,
that's fair.
You want to MST3K this? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is a good one to do it.
Don't watch
Absolutely.
this shit.
Did you say don't watch this shit?
Don't watch it.
Okay. Okay, that's
I
fair.
feel like if it's your favorite from childhood, rewatch it and see what you feel. See how you feel about it. See what
Yeah,
you think
it's
about
good
it,
to do
right?
that test every once in a while to see how
yeah.
things stand up.
Go back and watch it. Don't pay $3.99 though.
No.
Like,
Yeah,
just
you
find
do
another way.
Peacock.
Just
Yeah.
get it through Peacock, but don't look for that volume button because it's not where you expect it.
Yeah, it's not.
Hey, yeah,
Um,
watch it on browser.
Gentlemen, anything that you all would like to plug this week? Marcus.
Yes. Soul Tide dropped some new music and it's called Pin Drop. If you want to listen to an upbeat song about dancing and how fine your girl is, listen to Pin Drop. Okay.
All
Now
right.
available on all streaming services. So that is Soul Tide, SOULTYE, and Pin Drop, PINDROP.
Awesome. Awesome. Super cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Brian, anything that you've got that you want to plug?
As always, check out thelovenerds.com. It's now chillier. Doug was talking about how it was 48 degrees by him. Sounds like a
was.
good time for some
Yeah.
chili. Maybe
Yeah.
some buffalo wings. Go check
Gumbo.
out some recipes there.
Mm.
You can also catch me on TikTok, Rogue Roush on TikTok. We're talking all things Star Wars there.
That's true.
Anything, the nitty gritty, the big stuff, the little stuff. Who knows? Who knows what'll come up? So
Yeah.
those are the two things I'll promote.
Yeah.
What I have to plug this week is this podcast. Remember, you can always join our Patty family and pick
Yes.
our next movie by going to patreon.com/films in black and white to sign up for our Patreon. Any tier will get you input on our next film. So make sure you do that. I am also on TikTok as Films in
Yes.
Black and White, doing silly shit top to bottom and enjoying every minute of it.
sure.
It's amazing. I have a lot of
And-
fun with it and hope you have fun with it as well.
And look, you join our Patreon family. We take this seriously. You get to one of those tiers. You
we
get to
watched
that tier. You pay that cash, and you're like, hey, I'd like you to watch this movie. We're gonna watch it. All
It's
three of
true.
us
I
watched
have to
Howard
make
the
time out
Duck.
of my weekend to watch Howard the Duck.
Yes.
Marcus took time out of his weekend.
He's a
and
young person with
look,
other young
yeah,
people friends.
He has things to do, fun
We
things
don't.
to do, not like boring house stuff. Like he had stuff to
Oh,
do,
no.
and we
I
did
just
this.
I just bought a new comforter and a 2-inch foam mattress.
Oh, you're gonna sleep well.
Oh,
But we'll talk about it. We'll
Yeah.
research it. We'll do it all. So join that Patreon.
You absolutely should. Gentlemen, we have a 3-step process
We
to
do.
success here on Films in Black and White. And Brian, please kick us off with our first step.
Yeah, Brian.
Hey, read a book, please. Please. Please read a book. I just honestly I don't have like a fun thing here. Just like read a book. Please. It'll be good for you. I promise. Read a book.
Fantastic. Marcus, what is our
Um,
second step to success?
Drink some water. Yes, it may be 48 degrees, but also water does not care about temperature. Okay.
It does not.
You got to get that water up in you. Water's gonna help get that ashiness off your body, keeps
True.
you moisturized. You know what I mean? Like if you can't get it in you, put some on you. Drink
That's
water.
absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, our third step is look, wash your ass. Look, y'all saw the doctor in this movie. He looked gross. He looked sweaty.
Disgusting.
He looked disgusting. And you know what he needed when he finished? A nice shower to get all of that off of him because he doesn't want that demon following him around for a couple weeks after. So get rid of your own demons and just wash your ass. Just make sure you get up in it and you clean it. So there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next week to talk about Marvel's The Eternals.
Wow.
And kind of break that down.
I'm excited.
But in the meantime and in the between time, stay safe, stay healthy, and we will catch y'all next week.
Peace. Don't ever make us watch that again.